What's going on, people? And this is my match recap and player ratings for last night's game, Atalanta versus Manchester United, ending 2-2. A late equaliser from Cristiano Ronaldo for Manchester United. Got us out of jail, as did Eric Bailly. Not a convincing performance again. I thought for maybe the first 15-20 minutes we were okay, and then it just went to shit. Harry Maguire was dreadful again. Just looked drunk on the ball, not captain material, making stupid mistakes all the time throughout the game. A lot of players I give under average in this game. We'll get into the ratings in a minute, but again, even though we get away with a point, it feels like a loss because of how we play football, and we scrape, I would say victories, but it's not a victory. But obviously it's better than a loss, but it's a get out of jail card again, and it's lucky again, and it's fortunate, and it feels like a loss though. Somehow we're top of the group, but I can't see us going past. I think the most we can expect for is quarterfinals, and I think we'll be lucky to get to that because of how we play. Ollie seems to get points and victories or a result when his job is on the line, but I don't think his job is on the line. But when the media pressure comes, he seems to scrape points and 3 points at times as well. So it doesn't surprise me. I predicted 2-1 to Atalanta, ended 2-2, but it feels like a loss, and I hate the way we play football. There was a few good little moments, nice little link up for one of the goals with Ronaldo, Bruno and Greenwood linking up for the Ronaldo goal for the first one, but it's not enough. It doesn't happen enough. There's not enough service from crosses into the box either, and that's down to tactics because he's playing two strikers out on the wings basically. So that's down to Ollie again. I'm not convinced with him. Give him a 3 for the, just a spoiler alert, he gets 3 in the match ratings, Ollie. My average is a 5 and he gets a 3. Because even though we get a point, it's still crap, it's still lucky, it's still, get out of jail, it's still hope and moments. But let's get into the ratings. David De Gea, I thought, had a poor game. He made one good save in the second half from a long-distance shot from Zapata. But he was dreadful. Like, distribution, he kicked it off the pitch. I think the first goal, he has to save it, that they score. He has to save it. It's not really anyone else's fault, in my opinion. He has to save that shot, and he gets it wrong. And I think he just had a bad game. Other than that save, I still think he had a bad game. So David De Gea, I would give a 3, but he has been probably, arguably, our player of the season so far, but not last night for me. Gets a 3. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I'd give a 6. Thought defensively, again, pretty solid. Going forward, though, lacking that quality. But he gets a 6. Eric Bailly, some of the blocks he put in, if it weren't for him, they probably would have got at least 2 more goals, if not more. I thought because of how Maguire played and how much of a shit game he had, Bailly had to perform to that level to help us, and he did. Considering he hardly ever plays and he's out injured a lot, I wish he didn't get all them injuries because he's a quality player like he showed last night when he wants to be. And his speed helps at the back. So he was my man of the match yesterday, Eric Bailly. I'd give him a 9. Rafael Varane obviously went off injured, and I think we rushed him back. It's not looking good with him. He just seemed to sit down and drop to the floor. I'm hearing it was his hamstring, which I think is what he originally done while he was away with France. And because he just dropped and there was nowhere near him, it's worrying because I feel like that's going to be a niggling injury now that is going to keep him out for longer because we rushed him back too quick. He wasn't originally meant to be back until the Man City game, and we rushed him back by the looks of it, and now we're going to pay the price. And he was having a decent game again. I give Varane a 7 until he went off. Maguire, as I said, for the first 10-15 minutes I thought he was alright, but then he just went to shit. Countless mistakes. He's as slow as a cement truck, and he just makes unforced errors when he's not even under pressure as well at times, and I'm just like, it's meant to be our captain. It's just not good enough. And he come out last week about, we all need to look at ourselves, and how about you look at yourself more than anyone else has to look at themselves, because you make a lot of mistakes as a captain. So I'm sick of hearing him talk. He needs to prove it on the pitch. For me, he gets a 3. Luke Shaw, I thought was average. I don't feel like he's attacking as much as he was. Whether that's something that Ollie's told him to stay back more, or I feel like he tries to get involved a bit, but he's not in his top gear, and he's hesitating and holding back a bit. So I think he had an average game, nothing special, but nothing too bad. But you know what I mean, average for Luke Shaw. I'll give him a 5. Bruno, look, one thing I will say, I noticed defensively with the pressing, him and Rashford were terrible. Defensively, trying to press and close people down, non-existent from both of them. I saw numerous times where players on the ball for Atalanta just ran past them, not even in full sprint, like 75%, and they're just jogging, not pressing them and closing them down. Rashford and Bruno, it's not good enough defensively from them, and I noticed that a lot yesterday with specifically with Bruno and Rashford. But on the ball, obviously he was involved with the goals, Bruno, and for that I bumped his rating up slightly, but only to a 6, just above average. But defensively, I think he needs a talking to a bit. So a 6 for Bruno. McTominay, I'd give a 4. He's not good enough. I feel like the game's passing by, and he might have a few quality moments here and there, but he doesn't do enough in that position for me. And in a different formation yesterday, he didn't have Fred with him, and I still think he was poor. Not the worst on the pitch, but not the greatest either. I'll give him a 4. Pogba, for me, was the worst player for us yesterday. He gave the ball away in a deep position at one point, just taking too long on the ball, and they nearly got a goal from it. And that was another time where Bay come in and made a last-ditch tackle, I believe, if I remember correctly. But that was counted. He done that about 3 or 4 times, Pogba. He just giving the ball away. And from a player of quality that we know he's got in him, that was shocking last night. He was like a ghost a lot as well. Like, he was making countless mistakes, and then he'd go missing for ages as well. So I thought he was the worst player on the pitch for us yesterday, Pogba. I'd give him a 2. Rashford, bit selfish yesterday. A few times where he could have passed it, and he's running into blind alleys. He's thumping the ball at defenders and just like hoping rather than knowing what he's going to do. So for me, selfish and not doing the basics. And I've said that about him before, but he did it again. So for me, a 4. Ronaldo, unlucky not to get man of the match, but I think Bay deserves it. But he gets the goals, and again, he gets an equaliser and gets us a point, which we didn't really deserve, if we're honest. So gets us out of jail, but so does Eric Bailly. If it wasn't for Bailly, we wouldn't have got the draw either. So, but Ronaldo would get an 8. And then the subs was Greenwood, Donny van der Beek, and Sancho come on for 5 minutes, them two. Greenwood was on a little bit earlier. Matic and Cavani as well. Greenwood involved in both goals. I'd give him a 6. I don't think he was great other than that. But he was involved and did affect the game, so I'd give him a 6. Donny and Sancho, I'd give an average to. They didn't have a lot of time. They only like 5 minutes or less. And yeah, they didn't have enough time to really do anything for me. So a 5 for both of them. Matic, I thought was brilliant when he come on. Was playing forward balls a lot, being positive, trying to take control of that anchor role. And I thought he did it very well. So yeah, he come deep and was a bit like a quarterback, and I thought he played well when he come on. So Matic, I would give a 7. And Cavani worked hard again off the ball, pressing. He needs to teach Bruno and Rashford a lesson or two about pressing off the ball, because Cavani is top trumps for that. Can't fault him ever for that. But in terms of on the ball and service to him, he was a ghost again. Not a great deal of time for him either, but didn't really affect the game when he come on in terms of service or just on the ball and in the attacking third. But I'd give him an average of a 5, and Ollie for me gets a 3. Not the greatest lineup. Tactics, also when Varane went off, it was a back 5 when he was on. Then when he got injured and come off, they changed the formation, which is a joke. Like, why can't you just put a player in there and keep that formation? And it just shows to me the vulnerability and panic that he has in him when things aren't going right. So for me, that was a bit of a joke. The style of football, what is it? Because I don't think he knows and the players don't either. But people are going to give him credit because we got a point. But for me, he is not the man. So he gets a 3 for me. Man of the match, Eric Bailly. And yeah, look, a point, but it feels like a loss to me. And somehow we're top of the group. So look, Man City at the weekend, and I'm not feeling good about it. I've got to be honest. It wouldn't hugely surprise me if we get a draw, because in these big games sometimes we can either nick it or get a draw. Don't think we'll beat them at all. But I wouldn't be utterly surprised if we do get a draw. But I'm gonna say that we're gonna lose that game, because City are just different quality to us, and they got more depth, and they've got a system and a style of play and a coach that is one of the best in the world. So there's differences, and I think that's going to show. But I'll be there for the match recap and player ratings for that game against Man City, and I'll see you guys then.